The boss smiled every Sunday, shouting out to them, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." The church clapped, shouting out to him, "We're blessed," not knowing what they have walked into. Welcome to African Tales by Della Preach. The wind howled through the mango trees of Umuokoro that night, louder than usual, like a warning. Even the goats refused to bleat, and the crickets kept silent. Elders sitting in front of their houses looked at the moon and mumbled, "Tonight, something is shifting." Atop the hill, where St. Gabriel's parish stood, a dark silhouette arrived. A long convoy of black jeeps slithered through the village road, escorted by motorcycles with sirens that disturbed the peaceful night. The tires screeched to a halt, and a man in white stepped out. He was tall, rotund, and smooth-faced, with a heavy golden cross hanging around his neck. In his hand, he held a massive black Bible, so large it needed a separate bag. He wore sunglasses at night and smiled with the confidence of a man who had already bought the land he walked on. His voice was deep and calm, but it carried power when he spoke to the people. "Call me the boss. I don't come in my own name. I come with the oil of dominion." The people cheered. The children danced around his feet. Even the choir sang a special number to welcome him. No one asked where he came from. No one questioned his message. He quoted a few verses and handed the priest a brown envelope. And just like that, he was allowed to preach. What happened next, the villagers called a miracle. That year, over 28 women conceived and gave birth within 3 months. Most of them had been trying for years. People said the grace in the village had increased. Father Dominic, the aging parish priest, called it the season of babies. The boss laughed joyfully each Sunday, laying hands on every mother who brought a newborn. He gifted diapers, money, rice, and even small cradles with scriptures written on them. But what the villagers didn't know was that every cradle carried a hidden sigil, a strange drawing beneath the base, written in dark ink and blood. In his private lodge, a large guest house rented for him by the church, he lit red candles every night and opened a book of names. The book was filled with babies' names, each circled with a strange symbol. He chanted their names. He called their spirits. He offered parts of himself in exchange for years of youth, power, and influence. One by one, mothers began to notice strange things. Their babies stopped laughing. Some wouldn't eat. Some woke up at night screaming at corners of the room. Some just stared, their big innocent eyes fixed on something no one else could see. Mama Faith, a market woman, said her baby slapped her after the boss prayed over him. She thought it was funny. 2 weeks later, that child died in her sleep. Priska's son, born with a mole on his chest, developed boils all over his body. The local herbalist said it was poison from the spirit realm. Still, the boss smiled every Sunday, shouting out to them, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." Still, the church clapped, shouting out to him, "We're blessed." But among them was a woman who paid attention. Mama Favor lived near the village square. She was known for her fiery tongue and her excellent akara. But most of all, she was famous for her child, Baby Favor, a fair, plump baby girl with cheeks like fresh yam and a smile that lit up every room. Women envied her. Men admired her. Even strangers asked to take pictures with the baby. The boss was obsessed. He visited their home uninvited one day, carrying 3 bags of rice, a full crate of milk, and 200,000 Nigerian nairas in cash. "For her education," he said, smiling. Mama Favor refused at first. "What's the occasion, sir?" "God just laid it in my spirit," he replied, with a scripture and a chuckle. Her husband Uche, who had been out of work for months, urged her to accept. "We need this money. Don't be too proud." That night, Baby Favor cried for 5 straight hours. No fever. No mosquito bite. Just pain. Unseen. Unexplainable. A month later, the boss announced a grand event. The Glory Rain Church Carnival. It would be the biggest celebration in Umuokoro's history, complete with live music, healing sessions, food giveaways, games for children, and holy performances. Come one, come all, the banners read. Poor villagers flooded in, some from towns as far as Owerri and Asaba. They brought their children, hungry for food, for blessing, for escape from hardship. The boss had arranged clowns, bouncing castles, a stage for dancing children, and a tent labeled Special Encounter. Only those he handpicked were allowed inside the tent. Inside that tent were mirrors covered in red cloth, wooden idols from Benin, calabashes with floating feathers, and photographs of smiling babies placed in a circle. In the center sat a black bowl, glowing, humming softly. Each baby soul offered strengthened the bowl. And his years of life increased. And now, he wanted favor. At the carnival, Mama Favor came late. She wore her best wrapper. Favor had been fussy, but Uche insisted. People will talk if we don't show face. As they arrived, the boss greeted them with a lion's smile. Ah, my covenant daughter has arrived. Today, she will receive the oil of destiny. He carried Favor in his arms. He danced with her. The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. But baby Favor screamed. Not like before. This time, her scream stopped the music. It was the scream of a soul under attack. Mama Favor snatched her back and tried to leave. But her legs became heavy. Like stone. She stumbled. She was under a spell. That's when Nellie, a sharp 17-year-old choir girl who had always felt uncomfortable around the boss, began watching from behind the generator room. She noticed that every baby touched by the boss was later rushed to the medical tent. She told Ike, the youth leader. Ike told John, a schoolteacher and local prayer warrior. They followed one of the boss's assistants to the tent behind the church. And what they saw made their blood freeze. Altars. Incantation symbols. Baby pictures soaked in palm oil. A sculpture with Favor's face carved on it, her name etched into the wood with a blade. They ran. And told the town crier. Within 20 minutes, chaos broke out. The carnival turned into a battlefield. Mothers grabbed their babies and fled. Fathers armed themselves with hoes, pestles, and machetes. The boss stood on the stage, trying to calm the crowd. My children. This is the enemy. They want to scatter the work of God. But his voice no longer held power. The villagers surged forward. They tore through his tents. They found jars of dried umbilical cords. They found a notebook filled with the names of babies born that year, with numbers and symbols beside them. They dragged him down. His agbada tore. His glasses broke. They tied his hands and poured kerosene. Let him burn. Just as a matchstick was lit, a siren blared from the hill. The police had arrived. Alerted by John, who had called a cousin in the force. The DPO fired into the air and screamed. Nobody moves. Drop the fire now. It took 5 officers to protect the boss from the mob. He was beaten, spitting blood, and cursing in a language nobody understood. You cannot stop the kingdom. You will all bow. They shoved him into the back of a van and drove off. But the curse had broken. Babies began to laugh again. In the months that followed, investigators found 7 missing children in a shallow grave behind a property linked to the boss in Owerri. Video evidence from his private cameras showing rituals conducted during crusades. Witnesses from other towns describing nearly identical events. The media exploded. Church prophet caught in baby ritual scandal. The boss, demon in white robe. Umuokoro carnival of death. His trial was swift. Life imprisonment. No chance of parole. The courtroom cheered. Some cried. Even the judge wiped his eyes. People shouted. That sounds him right. He deserves even worse for eating people's babies. Back in Umuokoro, Mama Favor was always grateful to God to who had delivered her baby, and told her husband, I never trusted that man from the day I first set my eyes on him, and her husband promised to be a good listener. As for baby Favor, she's healthy, growing, and now laughs louder than anyone else in the village. And every year, during carnival season, the people of Umuokoro don't just plan parties. They pray, bearing it in mind that not everybody that come to a church has a good motive, and not everyone that says blessed is you from the Lord is genuine. Because they remember the year the babies cried, and the year God exposed the man behind the pulpit.